Thank you to the economist and to the government of Malta. Noble is honored to be invited to participate today in this business roundtable. I would like to give you an overview of Noble Energy with some focus on our activities in the Eastern Mediterranean. We're an American oil and gas exploration and production company based in Houston, Texas, whose shares are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We're producing 300,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day presently from 5 core areas of business, roughly equal amounts of liquids and gas. From our existing discoveries and projects that are in planning or underway, we'll be producing double that in the year 2017. Delivering major projects after making exploration success is the key to rapid growth, and we've delivered 3 major projects with capital investment of over a total of $5.5 billion in the last 2 years. 2 are liquids projects, Sing and Alen in Equatorial Guinea, West Africa, and the 3rd delivered last year in Israel, the startup of the Tamar gas field. One of the significant challenges that we face, unlike the demographic profile that was discussed for Egypt, in our industry, we are a mature industry, and if you were to plot the ages of our employees, you would see a big cluster around age 55. Yet we're building projects that have lives of 20 to 30 years, so who will be there to run them in the next decade? We're focusing considerable effort on bringing new employees in and giving them the leadership abilities to run these projects in the next decade. Our 5 core areas are indicated on the map, 3 of which are in the United States. The first and the second are pursuing the liquid-rich shale gas that Tony Hayward just alluded to, where we are successfully doing hydraulic fracking and horizontal drilling to increase the production from these tight shales. The 3rd area is in the deep water of offshore Gulf of Mexico, and the 4th and 5th are similarly in deep water, where water depths are from 1,200 meters to 1,700 meters in West Africa and in the Eastern Mediterranean. The total count of employees that you see there is now 2,400, of which 1/4 have joined our company in the last 3 years. Value creation through successful exploration. In the time period from 2007 to 2012, Noble discovered 9 billion barrels of oil equivalent. We tend to operate in joint ventures with a 30 to 40% working interest. Our share of the 9 billion is 2.8 billion barrels oil equivalent. We're pursuing new geologic plays in Nevada, where we're drilling presently. We have a large position offshore in the Falkland Islands. We're in Sierra Leone in West Africa, and our new ideas in the Eastern Mediterranean, where our existing gas discoveries have all been from Miocene or tertiary age rocks at depths of 4,200 to 4,600 meters below the sea floor. There is potential that we see in the Mesozoic age rocks which are a host for much of the world's oil and gas, and these are at depths of 5,500 to 6,800 meters below the sea floor. And we plan to test that for oil potential and hopefully have a game changer when we drill that next year. This is a location map showing the 3 large gas fields, the Leviathan, the largest of which is about 160 kilometers offshore Tel Aviv. It's just under 20 trillion cubic feet of gas recoverable. And the Tamar is to its east, and Cyprus A is just over the international boundary in Cypriot waters. The Tamar field is developed with 5 subsea wells in 1,700 meters of water with a 150-kilometer tieback of flow lines to a platform that's just offshore in 200 meters of water. So the Tamar wells are operated automatically by fiber optic cables from the platform location. Tamar has enjoyed almost 100% uptime since we brought it on in March of 2013. We're presently providing about 50% of the fuel for generating electricity in Israel. And compared to coal-fired electricity, the CO2 emissions are halved and very negligible amounts of sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxide emissions. The Leviathan field led to significant public policy debate in Israel, including hearings in the Knesset regarding export policy. The government announced its export policy in the second quarter of 2013. Supreme Court challenges were upheld, and we will be permitted to export 1/2 of the Leviathan reserves. We are evaluating regional pipeline export options to regional players, countries surrounding Israel, including Jordan, Turkey, Cyprus, and Egypt. And a second phase of the development will involve liquefied natural gas, which will give us access to Asian markets. As soon as we reach gas sales agreements, we will commence construction for the Leviathan Floating Production Storage Vessel, the FPSO, and lay a second pipeline to the Israeli coastline to continue supplying the domestic market. And to show you a picture from our Cyprus Aphrodite field, this is the appraisal well where we're conducting a drill stem test, which is a flow test where we're controlling the amount of flow and flaring it to obtain data that will give us a better understanding of the volumes of gas in contact with that well and the pressures, and enable us to make calculations about future well performance. The reservoir properties in all of our Eastern Mediterranean gas fields are spectacular, very high porosities and permeabilities, and wells that produce 250 million cubic feet per day. In conclusion, the Eastern Mediterranean Levant Basin is an important core area for Noble Energy's business. We have a significant business already in production in Israel, with additional expansions and projects that will represent an additional $8 billion of investment on top of the $5 billion that's been made to date. In Cyprus, we have confirmed an appreciable and significant reserve in Block 12. Additional exploration and appraisal work will continue. Unfortunately, the Cyprus market is too small to economically develop the field for it alone, and we require an export-led development. LNG is the preferred option. If we find sufficient reserves, we would develop an onshore LNG plant. Otherwise, a floating LNG vessel is a possibility. FLNG is a technology whose time has come, and there are 3 of these in construction presently in the world. And it's noteworthy to state that it's significant advances in digital technology and computer processing time that have enabled us to manipulate the massive quantities of data that we acquire in 3D seismic exploration, the images of which provide us with the maps of these subsurface structures that are our treasure maps and enable us to find gas where presently it was not known. And as additional players utilize this technology and bring capital to bear, I would anticipate that we'll have new sources of energy supply in the Mediterranean. Thank you for your attention.